I'm gonna try to follow along with it as much as I can. We're gonna be try to be brief with the quick stuff, so we can give you guys a little more time to talk and discuss things. But we really can't keep the meeting to going on forever because there is, I think, an event happening at 8 o'clock, and there's a movie night, and I also have things. Well, we also have things that we need to get to Sinai about 7:30 or so. So yes, I just plugged the movie night. Movie night at the drive-in at 8. Well, in 2 hours. Um, and I can't keep up with the chat a lot, so if you guys can help me out with that, staff, I would appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm keeping
Um,
an eye on it.
awesome. You're the chat person. I'll be the hands raised person then, because I can only see one at a time. Let me go back to the announcements. Okay, let's go ahead and start. So, Sai, maybe you can start us off with all the overall server updates we can expect that are coming in.
Why do I gotta start? Okay, so everybody has seen the cars. There's some fixes for these cars that will be coming in. There's a lot of core things that have been fixed, quite a few. Um, there will be a updated diving and updated fishing and updated um, trucking. Um, huge overwork or rework of heists. There'll be quite a few heists that maybe Archie cannot tell you how to do them, but he can explain maybe a high level overview on how complicated and how everybody's going to die when they try to do them. Um, the drugs are still in process. They will not be moved over in this update, but it will be fairly quickly after this one. We're just trying to get a couple things ironed out with them. There's some updated construction on MLOs that fix some of the issues that we were having in city. There's a huge variety. So I guess really the only thing that I can say is um, once we push it over, check the developer log and it'll kind of say everything that's been done. That's it.
Archie, do you want to give a summary about the crime and the heist? Just really general and vague, I guess.
Yep. Find out in city? No. So everything's been reworked because we all know the issues with the last crimes. From the Merryweather crates where you'd hit them and they just wouldn't actually do anything. The jewelry heist, we would be completely bugged, this or the other. We've moved off from the old script, which is a Jackson script, and we've moved over to a new script. I'm not going to tell you what it is because, yeah, reasons. But this new script is, Sai described it perfectly. It's like a Porsche. We have complete creative freedom with this, and I've let my ADHD and autism run fucking wild on this. So crimes now are progression based, as stated in the announcement that I made. Everything is now no longer a hit and run. It's going to require some brains. And again, progression based. I'm sure you can figure that one out. Self explanatory. Yes, Vargos don't have many brains. Um, but no, you can't. There is a lot of danger to it as well, which I will say. What else can I say? So I'm trying to be picky. It's going to be a lot of fun. There's going to be a lot of discovery. And in the future, I did state this last night in the chat. I'd like to incorporate a lot of ideas from you guys. I've made a lot. You'll have some fun with it, but I'm sure everyone will sit there and say, wouldn't it be cool to do this? Wouldn't it be cool to do that? That's where I want to take some ideas from you guys and make it into the server too. At the end of the day, we are here to create a sandbox for you. We want you to enjoy this. And if we can do that, amazing. Other than that, heists and crime, I don't really have much more to say on it because then it'll just give everyone hints. But yeah, expect a lot of new stuff. You got a brief glimpse at it before the server died because of all the shop issues. But yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. I put a lot of time and effort into it, a lot of thought. Is everything still going to be locked for the cops online? There is a lot of stuff to do without cops online. It's just dangerous. Have fun. There's plenty of stuff to do. Like in total, I've made over 20 heists and things to do. And I can keep going. I can keep going. Once we see how the server's going, once we see how everyone's interacting, I'm sure I'll get ideas. You know, the city talks fast. I'm sure we'll hear things along the streets as well. It'll be forever changing too. Like we can change things on the fly. So you can do one store 1 week and then I might change a couple of steps and it can change the next week.
Thank you. Um, that's it as far as updates. I know for the restaurant owners, when the update does come in, which is pretty soon, I'm pretty sure it's before the end of the weekend. The recipes, items, shops should be all uh fixed as well. So that's something that's gonna come on in with that. Let's move on to the techie stuff. Aside, if you can explain, the reason I want you guys to know about this is because for me, I don't have the techie brain. I'm not a developer. But when he explained it to me on what we're limited to and how we can kind of implement things, I'm a lot like you guys. Like I want something and I want it like yesterday, and I'm like, well, when could we do this? And when could we do that? And he has to like remind me, like, well, everything is harder. It's not as easy as just booping something in, which is my favorite thing to tell him. Like, hey, can you boop this in? And he'll be like, no. So if he explained it to me and I could understand it. I want him to explain it to you guys too, so you could understand that there's a lot of work going on. It's not that we don't want to do some things or that we just take our time because we are on this thing too many hours. But I just hopes to clarify how we kind of work um the stuff. Go ahead.
Well, I'm not 100% sure what to explain. Everybody knows that we're on ESX, which is kind of a legacy foundation, and we would love to be on QB but probably 70% of the scripts that we were handed when we got the server are ESX based. So it's not it's not going to be an easy switch. So our goal for the last 3 months basically has been to um, get this server stable and in a good position where we can then look at building up a QB Core version of it, and then getting all of the look and feel, the 80s look and feel perfect before we do anything. But we can't even think about that until we get the core stabilized. And that's kind of the crux of what's going on. Also, in the beginning, we were doing a lot of myself and the other devs were doing a lot of quick fixes on production, and it's just not a really good way to do things. So we've moved over to everything goes on dev first and gets tested on dev as much as we can with only a few people, and then moved over to production, which everybody knows that I've explained this before and we've said it a million times. We're in a soft launch. We're looking for bugs. We expect them. Um, and we can't always catch them when we're on the dev side, especially with just a couple people when it's compared to, 64 people. Things just don't show up. So we see them when we get over here. So a couple things that go along with that is bug tickets. We're just getting inundated with the same kind of bug tickets all the time. And we already know about them because we put them on the dev board. So I just want to make it perfectly clear that we're not ignoring anything. We're putting it on our board. We have priority list, what we go through, and we're going to close the ticket. So um, maybe we'll make some kind of list of things that have already been submitted, but we can't have a huge board for all the developers or the developers that we have to be looking at that board and our dev board. It's just too much time to do that. We we'll make we'll take your ticket, we'll put it over on the dev board, and then when we get to that portion, whether it be clothing or vehicles or some scripts that are buggy, we'll get to it. I think that's pretty much it, honey.
Yeah, on the bug board, remember that before you guys start a ticket, you can search keywords. So if you're putting something in like maybe a golf, and a ticket pops up, read it first, and if it is similar or if it's related to that bug, go ahead and put it under there so we can know, okay, there's more than one issue with this. But if it's something completely different that hasn't been reported, I mean, of course, start a new one. But I think a lot of you are not searching before opening a bug ticket. A lot of you do, which is great, but it would be a lot more helpful if you guys add on to a ticket that has already been open so we can know all the things that are wrong with it. Because when the dev is going to fix one thing, they'll close that ticket, then there's another ticket where they could have already fixed that too, but now they have to go back to it again. So if you guys could just help, it would make it a lot easier with that. And that was for the bugs. And again, with the fixes, I know you guys have seen me around doing like SBA stuff and adding a lot of things. And as I said before, we could just do it then and there. But now a lot of the things that you request, I need to do them on the development server, and you won't see them probably until the files are pushed over. And that's at each restart. So some things might take longer than they used to before. And again, it's not because we don't want to do them. It's just that that's just the best way to put things into the server so stuff doesn't break. Um, Rupert, do you want to tell us what are the issues right now with the cars and what you need from everybody and what they can expect?
Well, um, yes. What are the issues with the cars? I think they're quite obvious. As I just explained, we have a dev server for a reason. We are messing around with stuff. We are messing around with different scripts, and I can tell you from experience, sometimes it looks really decent in the dev server, and the moment we're going to put it over to the live server, it's going to get all mushed up and crazy. Um, an important thing about the cars and everything, I understand the excitement, but please give it a little bit of a time, because we're not just working with one file or with one specific car. If I change something on one car, it could impact I don't know how many others. So we need to do a proper testing. And that's one of the things that I refuse to do. I'm not going to bring over only half done packs or a halfly fixed car. If it's going to be in the live server, we want decent things there. We want the quality that you guys deserve for your roleplay. Um, Currently, we still have the issue with the misplaced parts and everything. We're looking into them. Some of the parts is our own fault that we messed up something. We missed a certain line in a file. We're missing some connections to it. But most of the times, it's actually that the developer who made the car in the first place, they made it for a the regular GTA server. So the moment when it comes to immersion, to certain features that a car has, we need to manually disable that, work on it, and that can cause a lot of problems. So going over to the part, what do we need? Um, there's a bug ticket with vehicle issues, and that one is absolutely an amazing example. Thank you, Marcy, for that one, because it literally tells me like, hey, it's this car name. This and this is happening. If you add a picture to it, that's perfectly fine. You do not need to bring up the same car several times, because I definitely do understand. And as long as the basic information is there, like the car model, what's the problem with it, and if you can check up which day and time it is in game, because certain cars do spawn in during the day properly, but once you go towards the afternoon or during night, they can spawn a different version of that vehicle and completely mess it up. So that's quite important information that if you can find it, please add to it. Beside that one, don't make any requests yet. We'll touch that one later. I know there are so many people that ask for, hey, can we have this car? Can we have this livery? In time. Currently, we're first fixing all of the things that are currently in. And once that one is in, we're going to look forward towards new stuff. But up until this point, where things are still off, I'm going to be bluntly honest. I'm not going to put in any new things unless it's really necessarily or it's game breaking. And I think that's most of the car parts for me right now.
And I think that also applies to some of the MLOs and features that are being requested. Some of you we've already talked to, and we've told you when to expect certain things. But other people, you guys have really really good ideas for RP and for scenarios and buildings, and they're really well thought out. And I get really excited when I read this. But unfortunately, right now, because we're working on all this other stuff, we can't focus on what you're telling us or when to bring that in or how to do it because we just don't have the time. So right now, if you send it to us, because our focus is everywhere else, we're not going to be able to pay attention to it. We're not going to be able to really devote the time that we should to what you're suggesting. So when the time does come for us to take suggestions, we will open a suggestion channel. We definitely will see what needs to be added in, but right now it's just not the time. So it kind of piggybacks off of what Rupert said. I think that's it for our tech stuff, unless anybody else wants to add anything. We're gonna move on to Discord, but anything else for tech stuff? No? Okay.
Nothing.
Okay. So Discord. First of all, I want to touch on communication with staff. You guys know the ticket system, how to open tickets. General is just for anything. There's bug reports or player reports. Sorry. But there's also the management outreach ticket. Sai and I are basically here every single day. We read the tickets, we pay attention, we are doing work. And even if you don't see us in the city or in the chats, it doesn't mean we're not around. We are. So if at any point you needed to ask a question to staff, or you had a concern, at any point when you open up that ticket, it's going to get looked at. It's not going to get responded to immediately if it's not an emergency. We're going to just kind of hold on to it. But as long as we don't close it, it means we still need to address it, right? So your ticket might be sitting there, but if it's still open, it means we're gonna say something about it. We just haven't found the time. You guys have no reason to say staff doesn't listen, staff doesn't hear us, because you guys have a direct line to us at all times. The management outreach ticket just goes to Sai and myself. So if you wanted to say something that didn't bother the other staff, you could. And we have always acted very impartial, and Nate being the one that role plays the most, I think, as staff, and Slick being one of our staff members too, they'll tell you that we are not giving favoritism to anybody. Just how you guys have to go through the whole process of getting an MLO, they have to go through that whole same process too. If they get in trouble for something, we'll talk to them about it. We don't really think that um it's fair or it's right that if you are complaining about somebody, we don't do anything. So if you're worried about bias, open up a ticket for just me inside to look at, and it's not a concern. We're all very 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 open to listening to you, to talking to you, but if you don't express your concern, it's kind of unfair to make a judgment when you haven't um, let anybody know. Sorry, I have a little bit of a cough. So with that, it kind of goes into the
Jesse, can I
expectations. Uh-huh.
can I break in on one more thing on the cars? Because that was
Oh,
actually mentioned in chat, and I think it can be very easily explained.
sure.
Um, Currently, we are working on more than just the cars. The mechanic scripts is going to be hauled over, but also the dealership is going to be hauled over. These are all things that we are working on. So you will definitely get access to more cars, to everything that we have available soon. It's just we need to make sure that everything is prepared on this before we're going to put it in. Um, the reason why we're going to change up the mechanic scripts is a very simple solution. The current mechanic script is amazing, does a lot of wonderful things, but the only thing that it does not do, work together with our job system. So the mechanics which are actually in here can confirm there are a lot of things that we don't have access to, that we cannot handle properly just because the scripts do not communicate. Same goes for dealership. There are a lot of limitations to the old one that we have. We have a new one, which is going to be way more suitable for all the things that we want. But once again, give it a little bit of time. Once it's all ready and once it's in, we will let you guys know, but definitely save up money for some of the replacements. Um, it's going to be a great thing that's coming. Sorry, Jesse. Wanted to clear that one out real quick.
No
Actually, if
worries,
I
you're
can
fine.
add on to that too.
Sure.
Um, so in the beginning, we opened in January with a core foundation of dealership mechanic scripts, drug creation, heist creation, all of those core things. And there was no way to know how those scripts will turn out in the long run until we used them. I mean, there was just, unfortunately, when you buy a script, there's no real star system or huge amount of people that say, "Oh, I love that script. Oh, it worked great." Like we would normally do, when we buy a product on Google. It seems to be something that's really lacking in the script world. But anyway, if I were to see a script that had 200 bad reviews, never would get it. Never would purchase it or even try it. But anyway, so we're basically redoing almost all of our core foundation, including um, the 60 shops, 24/7s, liquor stores, pawn shops, U-Tool, all of those are being redone too. But anyway, um, that I just have a little more testing to do. I don't really want to push it over like last time and have the stores kind of died. Um, so we're kind of been being really careful with that. But we should have everything ready this weekend sometime, and we'll make an announcement about that. Um, but again, there's and constructive tickets, that tell us what's going.
We losing Sire? Is it just me?
I think we're losing him half on and off. I
They're
thought it was
they're
me.
not.
You're
What?
cutting in and out. You're cutting in and out, I think.
Oh well, I don't know what to do about that.
He's
I think we
becoming
got
one with the code.
I think we got it got the most of it. It
Okay,
was just
I'll
like a
just
little bit
stop then.
towards. No, no, it was fine now, but it was just a little bit towards the end, but it's good now. Go ahead.
Long and short of it, this weekend, hopefully, make an announcement, doing a lot of testing, making sure nothing breaks.
Correct. That's it.
Okay. Last call for tech stuff. We're not
Done.
turning the car around again. Did
Nope,
everybody get it out?
nope, we're done. No
Okay.
more car things.
All right.
I'd like to handle the next one if that's all right.
Hold on a second. Let me get through it and then you can add on to
Hey,
it when I'm done if you want to.
bet.
So communication, like I said, we're always all here. We're always available. What we expect as you, as a community too, is that you're also supporting new players. One of the things that I see a lot is you guys volunteering to be helpers or testers. I mean, this whole server is full of testers and helpers. That's what it means to have a soft launch server. Everybody here, you guys are doing that work of helping us test the cars, helping us test, the MLOs, the features, and your feedback is what we want. So I mean, whenever you guys open a bug ticket or any kind of ticket, it's helping us make a better community. The issue that we do have with the community is when you don't speak to us, when you don't communicate with us, but then raise concerns in the lobby that have never been brought up to anybody in staff or anybody's attention, and that's not good. Um, this is not a public server for anybody just to come in. It's a private server. We're careful who we add in, and we expect everybody who's here to have a level of respect for each other and just basically be ready to support each other and be constructive with each other. I think that one thing that is concerning is when someone will go and blame a whole group of people for one person's behavior, and that's very unfair. If you have an issue with a criminal, you can't go and say all the criminals are crap because they're not. There's some criminals here that are really good, and they really bust their butt to create really good crime RP. Same with the cops. If you have a bad interaction with a cop, it does not define the department. You know, cop work, medical work as well. These are really hard RP roles to take on, and these people work, not only during their RP, but some of them do a lot of work behind the scenes to give you a good interaction. So it's important to remember that if you have an issue with one person, deal with it with one person, deal with it with them. If it is a server break, open a ticket. But if you have an issue with the group, bring it up to staff. But you need to stop doing that in the lobby. That's not going to be accepted. And then with the bulletin board, you guys know what it's for. It's for services, it's to advertise job openings. It's what a city bulletin is for. If you guys are putting um, personal attacks, personal issues on there, putting things that leak onto the Discord, you're basically backwards metagaming, right? When you're bringing stuff from the city into Discord, we're going to take those down immediately. I think we've been really lenient with the bulletin board, but if we need to police it more, we will, which is what I think we need to do. But overall, I mean, you guys know the reason we really wanted to work on Ignite and bring back Ignite was because you guys loved it so much, and this really is a good community. I'm gonna say, 90% of all the people that we've had on are a really great community, and the rest really haven't really stuck around long, and that's okay too. You guys know how to do RP, you guys know how to be supportive, but I think the thing we have to look at is to read a room during a scene, pay attention to the characters in a scene, and just make sure that, sorry, that you're, you know, making it positive. I mean, in the Discord overall, um, I guess that's expectation. You guys know when it's becoming a toxic conversation, just let it go. You don't have to feed into it. I appreciate you guys trying to defend whatever's happening, but it just creates more argument, more discussion. I would rather you guys just let it go and not add on to that kind of um I guess discussion. Tickets and player reports, or actually, did you want to add something about the lobby
Yes,
conversations? Go ahead.
yes, I do. As Jesse said, she stated a lot. I'm not going to be as lenient in there. If I start to see it again, I'm just going to nip it in the butt real quick. I'm just going to be handing out timeouts. Um, it's not really the place for that type of drama. Again, Jesse said, if you've got things that you want to bring up, we have the avenues that you can either take out of city through Discord to contact management, so on and so forth, and we have the avenues in city and you can go through those ways too. Um, please just leave it out of there. We're all adults here. We don't need to be arguing on a keyboard. There's other ways we can do this correctly. That's all I really need to say on it. I'm just going to be nipping it in the butt very, very quickly if I see it.
Yeah, and again, I mean, you guys have all talked to us in player reports, and even if you're reporting something that isn't actionable, we'll talk to you about it. We'll explain it to you. We're not ever gonna. I don't think we've ever just shut somebody down just to shut them down. When you've asked for things, most of our answers is either okay, we'll look into it, we'll try, and if we say no, it really is because we can't. Not that we won't. It's just that we can't do it. So yeah, communication is a key thing. Like I told somebody today, if you don't tell us something is wrong, how are we supposed to do anything about it? Like if we don't know that something is going on, then it's just going to keep happening because we're not aware. And our job really is to monitor the community to make sure that you guys are not being disrupted by players that come here just to disrupt what we're doing. With that said, with tickets, with player reports, I've said it before and we've said it all the time. When you open a player report, you need to have some type of evidence with it. We can't just go on your word, not because we don't trust you, not because it's not anything. It's just not fair to go off of somebody telling us they did this, because we need to look at the whole interaction with a unbiased point of view. The person who's reporting it is automatically biased because they're making the report. So if you do not have pictures, if you do not have video, we're gonna say, you need to go get it, and we're gonna have to close the ticket. I feel bad because I hear your concerns. I understand that you're upset. I understand that it is something upsetting, but those rules are there for a reason, and we need that from you. So if you don't have it, I'm so sorry, but we are gonna start closing those tickets. Um, and then another thing is staffing updates, and I know that you guys have said a lot in the chat right now and have asked for staff. I'm sorry, I keep coughing. And we are actually asking some people to come and start being helpers to manage the Discord community. But the way we did it, I think there was a confusion. I believe that in Ignite 1.0 helpers were community moderators or were on the Discord helping out. Our intention for helpers was more of a like a junior developer, if I can say. So when we got these applications, if it was someone who really couldn't assist with what we were doing in the server, we really couldn't move forward with it. So we are not going to open applications for people to come moderate Discord. We're asking people who we've seen in the community that are able and that are very unbiased and are very level-headed to help with the moderation. And we're going to start doing that. You'll see it either this week. There'll be new people that are given a role where they're going to start helping us monitor the Discord. It doesn't mean that they'll have any special powers in the city or anything like that. It's just that we need help with the Discord because, again, we all have issues and we all have things that we have to work on aside the server. So that's what we're going to focus on. And again, we're not going to open applications for that. We already have people in mind who we want to give that responsibility to, because in this entire time that we've been open, they've shown us that they can handle the responsibility. They've shown us that they're trustworthy. They've shown us how they can interact with a group of people, and that's kind of who we want on the team. So that's what it is for staffing updates. The helper application again was more for like a junior developer. If you guys are still interested, go ahead and fill that one in. But as far as moderation staff, we'll be coming out and asking you um, probably this week and the next. We're starting to do that, and like I said, we have two people already. But yeah, um, I think that's it for the Discord conversation. Does anybody have to add anything about the Discord conversation at all?
I might do a little bit. Because I've been reading the chat for you guys, and I see some comments regarding to the player reports. If you don't have proof, you're fucked. This one will drag over into the next topics that Jess is going to talk about, but hear them out and make a difference between a player report because a rule break or anything happened, or it's just an RP situation that's very difficult to handle or anything. But we'll get to that one. Another thing which might be very important to know, we cover all of the world. Like you have Cy and Jesse, which are mostly around during American time zones. Nate is going to be our south neighbor, which does most of the Australian time. And if you are around during daytime for European times, you will see me more often. Be smart about it, and we try to be around as much as we can to help other people. I mean, there are plenty of times that I just hopped on the server to help someone out. But please respond to your tickets. Let us know when you're going to be around. What is your time to be around? When can we make an appointment for it? Because I understand that there might be a few issues where it can be a very easy solution. The biggest problem is, with you, there are at least 16 different tickets where we need to look at. So sometimes it's just an easy reminder to send us like, hey, listen, I'm in game right now. If you have the time, let's hop in. Because 9 out of 10 times, either one of us will be around and can actually help out. So keep communicating in the tickets and make sure we get to you in a proper time. And if it's needed, I can easily ask either Nate or Sai or Jesse, like, hey, can you fix this one for me? Because I'm not going to be around. And they will. They all will help you out on that one. We just need the right times and the connection to people. Sorry, that was mine.
Thank you, Robert. Does anybody have to add on the Discord section of the conversation? Because we're going to move into more role play and in-city things like Robert touched on, but we want to go ahead and move on to that part.
The only thing to add, Hickory, now that you've decided to join the party?
Welcome, Hickory.
No.
Moving on.
I don't know. I don't. Sorry, I just got here. I'm busy. So busy. So incredibly busy. Hi. So busy, guys. Hi.
Are you going to have
Okay.
something to say, or should we move on?
We should move on.
Thank
Move
you.
on really quickly.
All right, so we're gonna go into just clarifying the low quality RP. I know you guys saw the announcement, and it's kind of like a common sense rule. What that meant was that if you're reporting somebody just for low quality RP, there's nothing to do there. If someone is doing RP that is so low quality, they're eventually gonna break a rule. If they came up and just shot you, that is low quality RP, but they just RDM'd. So that's a rule break. You know, if somebody you shot somebody and they ran away, yeah, that's low quality RP, but that's also a rule break. So the thing is that if someone's saying, "Oh, let me send you an email," well, yeah, they're not paying attention to the lore and the story of the server, but that's not something to report somebody over. That's maybe you can prompt them, maybe you can educate them. There's so many opportunities to help people become better role players. There's so much um there's so many ways that you can guide people with your conversations, and we've seen this. I mean, honestly, a lot of you have done this where it's amazing. It is amazing how you guys just help people, how you kind of walk them through it, how you give them kind of hints on knowing how to do things. So it's really great to see that, and we just want to see more of it. What was meant by that announcement is that if you just think somebody did not RP the way you wanted them to, that is not low quality RP. Um, I don't know where the confusion is, but the fact that you're just going to report somebody for low quality because you think their RP is low quality, that's not it. But fail RP is a rule break. You know, not valuing their life is a rule break. All these things that happen with people who truly are here to be crappy, they break the rules, and it makes sense to report them. If you have someone who borderline borderline on breaking a rule, you know, make a decision. But if that person has a pattern of behavior, they're continuously doing this, yeah, let us know, because it means that they have a pattern of negative behavior that is affecting the server negatively. I mean, you kind of have to use common sense. It doesn't mean that low quality RP is allowed. It just meant that low quality RP by itself is not a rule break. So I think that if you have a little bit of, I mean, not to say that you don't, but if you have a little bit of common sense, it makes sense what we said. Um, and of course, if someone is really just here to make a negative situation, it's obvious. You can report that. If someone's here just to ruin your time, definitely report that. But if someone told you that they don't like you can't report that. We're not going to do anything about somebody that doesn't like you. You know, there's nothing that we can do or that we will do. That's not our job, and we really don't want the role of babysitting people. We don't want the role of being mom and dad between fights. I mean, we're trying to do something, we're trying to do a job. And just as Nate said, that we're here to make sure that you guys enjoy the server, make sure that you guys have a good time. We also want that. You know, we also want to have a good time when we're here, you know. And I think that something that Priya said right now is like, yeah, we need to be a little more harsh with punishments, because we were lenient, we do give you guys chances, but a lot of you take that chance and don't really appreciate it. So I think that explaining
touching
it
on that.
now helps you understand what we mean by it, and helps you kind of understand the expectation that we have of you as a community to help with the people who are truly trying to learn how to be better RP players. Because if you remember, every single person in here had a first day, had their first day when they came into a server. And if you can remember why you stayed, it was probably because somebody helped you out. Go ahead. Or, go ahead, Nate.
So the low quality, like I've mentioned it before. Again, there's always a difference, but again, going what Priya you just said there, mate. We have been pretty lenient, but at the same time as well, we do need. I will say it. We do need more people out there, and at the same time, more tickets coming in to see these types of things. Because without the amount of staff out there, we need those tickets coming in to be able to report these things. Because there is very big differences. Again, like I stated a few days ago. There's the big differences between, sorry for the language, shit role play, and then just that low quality where they just could be a bit better. Look, there are people that I've been spectating this at the other who have started off low quality and they've gotten a bit better and bit better and bit better just because they're learning how to do it. We've all been there, we've all learned. And then I've also seen the type of people who are just shitters. We had the one yesterday where we all just got RDM'd. It's very circumstantial sometimes, and it's very, what's the word from where you observe it from one?
Subjective.
That's the word. Thank you.
Hmm.
Um, it can be very subjective, but there is that clear difference, and but just between that shitty role play and low quality where it can be better. And if it doesn't look, if it doesn't improve, then just keep receipts. Get those receipts going of it, keep those clips of it, and then, then staff can intervene and go, hey, okay, your low quality RP, this is where you need to improve it. And if it doesn't improve, that's where we can then go for it there. It's a long process for low quality RP. It is a very long process. Like it's not just a clear cut. You're bad at RP. That's low quality. For a staffing point of view, there is a very long process to try and define what is actually low quality role play. We need clips and we need to talk with so many different people. That's why we really need to just define that. If it is over time, keep those receipts. We can then deal with it. If you can help guide them, help guide them. If they're a shitter, I'll throw a hammer at them.
Yeah, but let's just be perfectly clear that we're not just going to take every single ticket either.
No.
What Jay-Z said earlier is this: you got to have clips, and you got the clips have to show before and after, and it has to show context. We can't we don't have enough people to send a team out to do an investigation because somebody's feelings are hurt. We just don't have that.
But I
Yeah,
think that even
pre-up.
if we
Download
did,
metal. Yes.
but I
Download
think
metal, everyone.
even if we did have the staff, and even if we were fully staffed, we still don't want staff to have to go and investigate a ticket. We shouldn't have to be going out there and finding other people to send us information, or finding other people or asking them what they think happened. All that information should be in your ticket so that we can go ahead and act upon it. And if it isn't there, I mean, you really have to think, what else do I need? And like Archie said, if it's a pattern of behavior, save those screenshots, save whatever it is to show us, no, this is not a one time thing. This person has done this numerous amount of times, and that's a whole different story. So the better you are at documenting the information, the better you are at explaining the situation, the better we can be at acting um on the situation that you're reporting. So that's kind of what we wanted to talk about as far as LQRP. I hope that it's a better clarification. I hope that you understand why we said that it's not a ticketable thing, because, yeah, don't open one just because of these instances. I think I made it a little more clear. But I do want to move on to the slow burn aspect, the RP over gunplay, and the power gaming. And Nate, if you want to add on to it, or anybody else, go ahead. But lately, what we've been seeing is that a lot of you are jumping into very aggressive and very permanent, very uh I'm gonna say very escalated reactions to minor things. Like, if someone bumps into you walking down the street, you should not hunt them down later and drown them, strangle them, and shoot them in the head. That makes no sense. A lot of you are here and you are doing criminal role play, and that's awesome. But many of us, and I say us because I'm one of those people, are not here for criminal role play. We're here to be a civilian and kind of enjoy the city. And it's really hard when you're trying to have that kind of RP, but there's other people that are bringing you into that criminal RP kind of by force. There's a lot of things that happen that are minor issues that should not escalate to a major consequence. And when we say role play over gunplay, when you shoot somebody, it should be the last resort. It should be because there's no other thing that you can do but shoot that person. And that's the part that kind of surprises me when these little minor incidents happen. A lot of you are just escalating it way too fast, way too much. And again, yeah, what you just said, shooting people is the last resort. If your life is in danger, sure. If that person has been ratting on your gang for days and they've gotten you in so much trouble, you lost money, of course, like you want to get that payback. But if it's for a minor thing, if someone, you know, called you ugly, you're not going to go over there, find them, gun them down. That's just a lot. And that's not the kind of environment we want to have here for people. A lot of people, like I said, just enjoy that civilian life. So respect other players. If you're in a gang, find other gangs to fight with. You guys are both here for the same thing, go for it. But if you can avoid escalating things so much and slow it down, it would be great. And also read the room. Again, I'm going to say, because some people don't feel comfortable in those situations, and if you get that from them, just kind of go with that, because not everybody likes to feel threatened or feel like they're in a really negative situation. And that's important to kind of give that respect to each other when you're role playing, you know? Um,
May
sorry.
I may I interject? May I
Yeah.
interject? Uh, just the biggest thing is if you have a gun, you have access to a gun or anything like that, you're one of the prime gun holders. Just remember that guns at the end of the day are the scene killers. That's it. As soon as you shoot your weapon, the scene's gone. It's gone. So you kind of have some leveled power there. Like that's the whole last resort, because you come here to role play. If you want to do the GTA shit, GTA Online is have fun, man. Oh god, have fun. But anyone who's holding the guns, that's it. You got to realize that as soon as they get shot, as soon as those guns go off, 90% of the time the scene is over. So just remember that.
And can I give a quick reminder about our last community meeting where we talked about a similar topic?
And again,
Please do
we do.
make a
Go ahead.
full story around it. Like, if something is happening, do not just gun someone down, drop them somewhere, make sure that nobody can get to them, and you're done with your part of the story. Make scenes, put up some evidence, make sure that we have a story behind it, because in the end of the day, that's the reason why we're here, roleplay. You want to have the cop going for you, you want to have a detective on scene, searching for all the clues that you left behind. Give them maybe a misdirection, but give people something to do around it. It's not just you who wants to shoot that gun. There are many more people. I mean, look at how many people are here in the audience right now. All of those can be involved in a major story in the city. Make it happen. Give hints, give something away, make it interesting for more people. Sorry,
I,
Jesse.
Quick,
no, go ahead.
can I
Go
no,
ahead.
sir? Can I quickly interject? Really importantly,
Sure.
we're gonna stop this 1.0 talk, please. Like, honestly, I see a lot of it in the chat right now. We're cutting it. It's done. Whatever it was is not. So let's move on, because it's not there. We don't need to be there. We're not there anymore. So no more.
Doesn't exist.
Like,
It's if you
This
hear
is
that's
it in the
it.
this is
city, make a ticket, OOC. Bye.
if you guys think about it, it's like you're going to a new server. You would not go to another server and continue bringing up Ignite because it has nothing to do with them, correct? So this one, it is different owners. We are different people. We're not 1.0. Just because the name is the same does not mean that you can keep comparing this server to what it was. So that's what we mean by stop, because I'm sure that no one else would let you do that on their server. No one else would want to hear you guys talking about another server constantly. So that needs to stop. It's not that we don't like the people from Golden Knight. We want you guys here. We opened the server again for this reason, to give you guys back a community that you loved. But it is really unfair for us who have been working so hard on this to constantly be compared to something that we have no control over, had nothing to do with. And that's what we mean by stop with the 1.0. Um, Piggybacking on that, we're talking about the escalation. When you guys say, oh, so and so I'm mad at, go shoot them on site, just think about that for a second. Especially with this last interaction that happened. If I was a cop, I would not want to come into the city at all, because as soon as I come into the city, I know that there's a high percentage that I'm going to get shot for no reason. That is not RP. That is not a story. So if you guys are doing that, that's something that you're going to get kicked out for. I'm sorry, but that's not what we want here. And like I said, we are going to be more strict. We actually are revising the rules again, or actually revising them more. And we are going to give you information about what kind of bans you're going to get, how long they're going to be, so that you can be well informed on what's going to happen. But it is not okay. It is not okay for you to threaten an entire group because somebody made you upset. Now, if you're part of a gang, you want to threaten another gang, by all means. And when we say, um, don't, I'm not saying that as a gang member you shouldn't be mean and you shouldn't be intimidating. You should completely do that. That's your character. Completely, like, yeah, we're not going to tell you how to do things. We're not going to tell you who should be, but we're just saying read the room and be respectful for each other in your role play. Side just shared a story with me when we were kind of discussing this a little bit. It's a real life story. I'm gonna share it because I think it's important. I think we made a good point. He said that one time he walked into a restaurant. He was waiting in line to order. I think it was a McDonald's or something. And next to him was a gangster, and he was, all tied up, and he looked, pretty scary. So he was looking at him, and the guy saw him looking, right. The guy stepped up and said, "Oh, you're looking at me," or whatever, the gangsters do. And he just said no, and that was it. So in that scenario, yeah, the gangster was being who he should be. The gangster was, that's who it is. That's what you expect. That's the kind of behavior any civilian would expect from a gangster, if that were the case. But in that point, that person didn't pull out a gun and shoot him for looking at him. That person didn't pull out a gun. Why? Because that's not something realistic. That's not something that would happen. No gangster would go after somebody for, you know, um, accidentally punching them because they had a spasm or something like that. You guys need to be more aware of your role play and what you're doing, and does it really make sense, because slow burn means that you're going to build your story. It's not going to take an hour. You're not going to get something happen to you and you're not going to get retaliation within the next hour. You should build up to it. You should take your time. Um and that's it. Another thing that I do want to touch up on is power gaming. When you guys are preventing somebody from getting medical help because you know that they have to lose their memory, that's borderline power gaming. If they can't get medical attention, or if they choose not to get medical attention because they want to forget whatever happened, that's on them. But you guys know better. I don't need to tell you what you should and should do. But if we're seeing this, you're going to hear from us now. You know, it doesn't make any sense. And if you don't want to be told, if you don't want to be warned, then obviously follow the rules. You know? Um, Anybody have to add anything on this before we move on?
Yeah, I'm seeing a comment in there for zero EMS online. Is memory loss forced? Only if there's no one that can take you to pillbox to go see the local nurse. Yeah, kind of. Like the last half an hour, 45 hour interaction of whatever happened. Let's say you eject Ojecto, you just forget the last half an hour. If it's a full RP moment and they've just left you there and there's no way that anyone can get you, then yeah, you got a memory loss is forced. But if someone can get you back, you got your memory from everything that happened up until you were unconscious.
I know that you guys are asking if a memory loss should be forced if EMS is not there, if EMS is not available. I think that's something we have to kind of discuss as a staff how we want it, because we are redoing the rules. We kind of want to really sit down and figure out what would be the best case for the memory thing, because I've seen a lot of people purposely leaving people, or blocking people from getting help just so they can force that memory loss. And that's not how it's supposed to be. And I'm not okay with ocean dumping. I really think that's just low grade RP,
Yeah,
honestly.
I was
Um
about to say that too. It's
and
crossed my
and
mind as well.
yeah, and when we do the rules, I mean, there's going to be significant changes, and it might not be what you see in other servers, but it's what we want here. And that's just what it is. I mean, again, this is a private server. You guys chose to be here. We want to give you the same environment, but you guys need to also work with us, and um just support each other, just as much as, like, you guys forget that we're just like you. We just want to play too. We just want to have fun on the server as well. um but we all have to work on this together. We can't be a good community if only some of us are working towards that. you know we all have to kind of do better. I don't know how else to explain it. um but yeah, I know there's like a lot of questions about um ocean dumping and all that stuff, and I think that that's all going to be addressed with the new rules. We really are having a good talk about it. It's not just two people. It's a lot of people that we're going to kind of talk to and see how we can make this better, because some things that are happening are just, they don't make any sense for this type of server. If you're building a story, it just doesn't make sense to do those things. um Anything else to add on this, guys? Power gaming, role play, before we move forward with this one?
Just enforcing roleplay over gunplay, as we said earlier.
Right. Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, if you're
it's,
going, and honestly, if you're going to shoot somebody and someone says they shot me for this reason and it really shouldn't be escalated that much, you should know
no.
better than that. I mean,
And,
come on.
and like and like Hickory said as well, pull on the gun, that's scene over. Like you can still keep a scene going by stabbing someone. This I'm not gonna be a
Yeah,
theater actor
the
right
only
now, but
mention the only mention I said 90% is because the 10% otherwards is normally because people are that cross-eyed they can't hit their shots. So
yeah, that's true. But like
Yeah, but I
it's
mean,
but
there's. Go
it's
ahead.
yeah, just don't pull that gun unless you really, really need to. Yeah, Ivan, knuckle dusters, punch it out, run to ones. Well, don't you can't really run the ones all the time, but but no, there's so many other ways that you can do besides the gun. Once you shoot that gun, that's it. It's all over. There's no more scene from that to be had. There's no more get back that you could have. Maybe there's no more sneak attack that you could have. Get that. Again, I'm not going to be a theater actor and a drama teacher here, but you can have so many scenarios that can come from it.
and they
Kidnap
have
them.
to and they have to make sense. I mean, they have to make sense for the level of retaliation that you're doing. A citizen that's just a civilian, they're not part of the crime world. I don't think that they should be handed such severe consequences for something that might have been an accident, might have been something they didn't know. But again, I mean, that is your character. I understand it, but there should be some degree of escalating before you get to that point. That's just the biggest thing. Um, with that said, let's see.
That's pretty much everything for those three topics.
Yeah, I
Des,
think
yeah.
one of the things that I know that people hated before was when you would see the light, you get pocket wipe and you don't have anything there. That makes everybody afraid to see the light, right? Nobody would want to do that, and I don't want to do that. I hate that, but we don't want to have to get to that degree where you guys are going to be afraid of dying. Like, it should be to that degree. You guys should be afraid of having your character have severe injuries. you know that makes sense. That would make a lot of sense. I don't want a broken leg. I don't want broken teeth or whatever, so I'm going to take care of my character. It's just that simple. um Last time you guys said you wanted to hear from medical, from PD, and from some of our city services. I've asked them to speak. I want them to tell you guys what would help them um get better RP from you. I want to keep this positive because I've also asked you guys that question on our agenda. If you do have feedback regarding RP, I need you guys to keep it positive. I need you guys to come with suggestions, not accusations. and I need you guys to not generalize it to a whole group and not target an individual. There's a very easy way to keep this conversation positive, and as long as it stays positive, it'll keep going. But if it turns negative, we'll just cut it because this is not the space for it. Okay. I'm gonna have can my city people raise their hands so I could just grab them, please? Thank you. There we go. There we go. There we go. Okay. Dakota, want to go ahead
Hello,
and start?
G8.
Well, hello. It is I, Dr. Hare. Yeah, so, I've been asked to talk about a little bit for MedRP, what can improve it in the server overall. If people have, questions, my DMs are open. I've had a couple people reach out and say, like, hey, I want this to happen. How can I play that? How can I make that happen? How can I convey those feelings or that plan to the medical staff without, metaing or anything like that. And I give them examples, and I'm always willing to do that. So if you have any questions like that, please DM me. And I love working on that kind of long-term storytelling with everybody in the server. However, just a couple of quick tips for everybody that will improve your experience on your end and the EMS experience for our staff. One of the best tips really is when you get injured. I know sometimes it happens randomly, right? Sometimes you're in a car, you crash, you fly through the windshield, but there's going to be a little bit of time before we can get there. Try to think about what injuries you're going to RP before we get there, right? Try to think of realistic, okay, if I went through this car windshield, I might have glass in my forearms if I was able to like bring my arms up, or in my forehead, or I might have just smashed my face on the steering wheel, broken nose, kind of those kind of things. Or I skidded along the road for a couple feet. That's probably going to lead to some road rash. That's kind of like a really good just general idea is think the injury through to the end and like what will happen from those injuries. And the other thing is when we're treating you, when an EMS arrives on or any EMT arrives on scene, we're going to do our best to give you all the options, right? I like to train people. We do have a lot of new EMS staff, so let them learn, of course. But we're going to say stuff and then also type /me's for what we're doing. So it'll be like, oh, let me check your vitals, and then we're going /me checks vitals, and that's what we're going to do when we show up almost every time. So when you see us pull up, one of the first things you should say is like, pulse, and breathing. Those are going to be the first two things we check. Sometimes we pull up to people and they're like, all right, checks vitals. And then the response you get is kind of a broken arm. All right, well, I'm not looking at that yet. I want to make sure you're alive and breathing. And then we can move on to everything else. And, when we do that, I personally, especially if you get to the doctor end of it, I know I'm working on getting more doctors. We're training a couple right now. That's when we can go more in depth. The EMTs are stabilization and transport. That's their role. That's their job. So there is a limitation to what they can and cannot treat. That leads to a little bit of confusion once you get to the hospital as well. So the EMTs are going to get there and they're going to role play, stabilizing you, maybe putting you in a seat collar, putting you on a backboard. They're going to start IVs probably. Put pressure bandages over puncture wounds, unless it's a embedded bullet, but that's different. But yeah, so they're going to do the initial steps and then get you to pillbox. If there's not a doctor around and they have you and they don't have the capability to treat the other existing injuries, they will hand you off to the local nurse. The local nurse's job is to get you back on your feet. She is good at her job. One thing I don't like seeing is local nurse is terrible at her job. I need to see a doctor. If you want to see a doctor afterwards or you want follow-up treatment, there are ways to do that better than the local nurse is bad at this. If you want it to go on a medical file, you can just, kind of /me when you, like, we're going to check on you when you wake up, /me, local nurse did this, 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 and this, and this is fixed. That will all go in a medical report for you. We're going to be very diligent about that. However, we don't want people refusing to see the local if there's no doctors on, and I know that's kind of annoying, but it's kind of what has to happen, just because the people who choose to play EMTs are not choosing to play a doctor. And there's a different level of knowledge, and some people are going to be uncomfortable with that level of, like, with not having that knowledge to treat you. So please just be kind to the EMS. We don't want to burn them out. Let them take breaks, let the doctors take breaks, everything like that. But the local nurse is there for a reason. The next kind of thing I want to say kind of goes back to, respecting the EMS staff. We're people too, and we're going to try to give you the best experience you can. I always try to give the options of what I'm about to do. If somebody comes in with bruised ribs or a broken rib, maybe even a fractured rib, I will always go through the options of what happens if that rib is broken and what happens if that rib is just fractured. I will sit there and I will go, hey, there's nothing you can really do about fractured ribs. We're going to wrap you up, but they got to kind of heal on themselves. But I'm still going to give you the option that one of those might be broken and pushing on a lung, and I'll explain that through voice and my /me's on how that will go, and that gives you the option. I'm not here to force anything on you. I never want anybody in medical in our job to force anybody to role play injury. That's not what we do. We are here to help you tell your story of your character. We are the functionaries for you to be able to have a deep background for your character. You know, and we're also there at RP too. I love RPing surgeries. I love RPing the like really bad stuff, but that's not for everybody. So, just keep in mind, EMTs are transport and stabilization. The local nurse is going to have to do it when they can't take over, when they can't do anything else. Couple of other things, quick tip. Most common injury we see is going to be GSWs. Quick, if you guys want to be realistic in your role play, through and throughs are very, 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 very bad. If you have 6 through and throughs to your chest, that means all of your organs are Swiss cheese. You can only get so lucky. And if you have a through and through, that means you have an entry hole and an exit hole. The way that physics works with a gunshot, the exit hole is going to be twice as big as the entry hole, and it's going to tear all of that skin and flesh. It's not great. The best part to do, if you got shot 3 or 4 times, that's fine. Have them embedded, have them bounce off a rib cage, or hit your rib and stop there, or your clavicle. Your shoulder blade's a really good one too. If you get shot in the shoulder, your bullet through and through to the shoulder, you don't want that. You want the bullet to be in there and get stopped by that shoulder blade. Yeah, as people are saying, more holes are always bad. And then kind of to go with that too, the injury timeline. I almost always try to be like, yeah, be careful for the next few days. Make sure that, you keep an eye on this for infection for the next couple days. I try to keep it vague. However, if you want a general overview, kind of think of it like prison, where 1 minute is a month, except kind of do it a little bit extended to that. So like maybe like an hour is more like a month, right? If you have a broken arm, I'm going to tell you to stay off of it for a couple days, because honestly, you shouldn't be doing anything with that arm within an hour of what you're doing. So just keep that in mind as well. That leads to a lot more realism everywhere, and also kind of slows people down a little bit. And that's what we want. We want that slow burn. We want that slow build. We don't want people in a gunfight getting up, getting treated for 4 or 5 bullet wounds, and then being back in the hospital in 20 minutes with more bullet holes like that. I mean, it's kind of your sign to slow down a little bit. Also, uncommon injuries, we're going to see scaphitis. We're going to see cetus, yeetus, and ejectoceta. We whatever you want to call it. That's fine. If you get scuffed to the point of being down and an EMS or EMT shows up, you can kind of just say like, yeah, I got thrown from my car and like everything like that. And we're going to try to help you back to your feet without making you do intense, surgeries or anything like that, just because we know sometimes shit gets scuffed and it happens. That's fine. But don't abuse that either, because then we won't be able to, if it's obvious that there's blood everywhere and there's 3 bodies down, it wasn't scuff, so don't abuse it either. But we also understand that it is a real thing. Also, one last thing to keep in mind is when we arrive on scene, there's going to be certain things we can and cannot diagnose just from an EMS showing up on you, right? A fractured skull, we're not going to be able to really do anything about that. Those are kind of things that you can wait until you get to the hospital for, or a brain bleed, or anything that might need a scan. We have an MRI, we have an X-ray machine. We like to use those. So just keep in mind when you're trying to role play those, what we can and can't diagnose on scene and versus what's in the hospital. And like I said, like always try to reach out. I know I feel like I'm rambling, but we're here to RP, and it takes a special breed of people to do government agency RP, whether it's medical, whether it's PD or city hall, or even the lawyers. But we all want to RP too. So just kind of keep that in mind. But as I said, my DMs are going to be open. So if anybody wants to reach out and establish even a background for your character, we can do that. If you want to establish, hey, I want this kind of thing to happen, I can show you the right direction. And a little bit of research never hurts either. It's not hard to go on Google or ChatGPT and be like, hey, what would this lead to? What can this happen? What kind of stuff like that? So, yeah, I'll stop rambling now, but that was kind of my main points that I wanted to hit.
Thank you. Just going back to something, I don't know why you guys misunderstood. When we said that it was role play over gunplay, we said it for everybody. We're not talking just criminals. This goes for cops. This goes for whoever you are. You should not be pulling out a gun if it's not a last resort. And cops do have SOPs to follow. So I don't understand why the conversation is cops to this cop, because I just said don't generalize it. Not all cops do that. So it goes for everybody on the server. Gunplay should be the last resort. And with that, I think we can give it to the sheriff. Go ahead, Miss um Logan. Go ahead.
Hello, can y'all hear me?
Hey, mate.
I think this is working. Um, yeah, if this sounds pre-written, it is. I'm not good at the thoughts to words thing and doing it live or public speaking in general. Um, Currently, PD, we're kind of locked into the motion of the server, which in some aspects is starting to feel a bit like you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. But we're working through it. As people can already tell, there's a shortage of numbers during some shifts. We are doing what we can to address this, but it is difficult when we, by and large, uh, we're not tilting towards being hard asses by design, really. That doesn't seem to be coming through on the end product for one reason or another. Um, Obviously, the recent low point of kidnappings and bounties, threats, the things we've already covered, so I won't repeat too much. Um, it's starting on a path to people, not just in PD, wanting to be harsher on crime, and I don't know if that's on purpose or an unintended byproduct. Um, that's leading into what would be a long term effect of some pushing towards order and broken window policing. Some others pushing towards keeping the peace. It's a far less unified approach than what we're looking for right now. So we are cognizant of this. Um, More often than not, we're just reacting to what's happening out there, scene to scene, reacting to what's presented to us. It's just how it usually works. Something happens, and we respond by going through a relatively simple progression based on the case laws we have in the city, um, our SOPs, and character decisions. At the end of the day, we're just trying to RP and handle things best we can. Um, Having a problem with us in character, that's where it should remain. That much is expected. Conflict is going to happen as long as that's where it stays. Um, but perception's a fickle thing to overcome. I've had conversations with people, and I do listen and note things, but I struggle sometimes to reconcile the feelings and statements with reality. Uh, since the server's opened, we've had about 500 arrests and incidents in the MDTs between the current and the old one. It's just, again, just in over 2 months. I read most of them for the day or days prior when I start my night. The number of those that involve instances of PD violence make up a tiny fraction of the bulk of them. Um, so if there's anything to take away from this, let's just try and have fun together, Simple shit like give some interactions at a robbery. Don't just hop in the fastest Metacar and flee as soon as possible. Leave some scenes. And again, some of you are great at this. Um, I want to give a shout out to like J Ray and Barrick Daker. guys are doing great. Have fun with them, and we'll try to match the energy back. I hope the second attempt at the Crim update, we see more of that good stuff. Because believe it or not, we do like talking to people, and it doesn't always have to turn aggro. We are trying to avoid that as much as possible. Usually, believe it or not, we're just excited for it as the rest of you. And it's not really that wide of a gulf where we can all get what we want out of our time here. Um, yeah, at the risk of repeating, DMs are always open. Uh, don't even need to ask me for permission. Just send it. Um, and at the risk of repeating what Jezzy said perfectly earlier, if you got a bad clip or something's fucky, let us know. We'll deal with it. If you catch a rule break, clip it, make a ticket. If I do need to suggest anything for the staff listening here, when that happens, make sure you're bringing that person in as well on that ticket. Um, Again, that doesn't mean that that person's going to get fired or banned, but there'll be a conversation at the very least. And if something needs corrected, then that can happen. Just just keep an open mind, and we're all just people too. That's really all I got. I'm interested to hear what people say in the open part.
Thank you. DOJ, you want to go next?
Sure, why not?
Chief Justice.
John Harlan here. Hello. So DOJ, we are, as always, continuing trying the war on trying to find more lawyers. If you're interested, please send a letter to DOJ. I am happy to train people on how to be a lawyer. I am, as far as like, as where Garrison has things written down, I don't have anything written down. I'm uh, for cell reps. I would just like to give some tips and pointers. Lawyer, if you call for a lawyer, I'd love you. Thank you for doing that. Even if a lawyer is not available, thank you for doing that. It lets me know that there's a need for more lawyers in the city. Um, right now, I see that we don't have lawyers responding to some things. I get that. Being a lawyer, much like Dr. Bridges said, it's a niche thing. Yeah, you gotta want it. It's a hard job, but I try to make it as easy as possible, and I try to make myself available for training as much as possible. Um, it takes some time to get in there. You'll probably go through like a paralegal phase, and you won't just be jumping in there doing lawyer stuff. It takes a little time. We like to build up the story of the lawyer. And in my interview with people, you will know that I'm trying to get at the story of your character in that interview so I can figure out how best to direct that, and allow you to like kind of do what it is that you want to do. Um, but quick tips on like cell reps. Also know that just calling a lawyer doesn't mean your charges are just going to get dropped. That's not how that works. A lawyer is there to help plead your case as best as possible, and represent you in a way that will be helpful to you and getting you in reductions. I don't know if I'm. This may be a little bit of a preview of things to come because I think we're going to start changing little things. I got to confirm with the sheriff and staff, but there may be a change coming where, and this is okay, I think, to say out loud, that reductions from the police are going to be starting to go away slowly, unless you start calling for a lawyer or a lawyer's present to have the ability to give you a reduction. Um, we've been hearing some things on both sides of the fence of like times and fines and all this stuff. So I want to try to make it a little bit more beneficial for people to call for a lawyer. Even if a lawyer doesn't show up, you would still then have the opportunity to get reductions. But the idea would be is that calling for a lawyer will help you get less time, less fine. That's the bottom line. I know criminals. You help enable the lawyer RP when it comes to that sort of stuff. Um, yeah, it's just that we need you, and I hope that you find there's a benefit in having us. Um, so again, call for lawyers, but again, don't expect them to be like, well, if I don't know, assaulted a police officer with a deadly weapon, you have officers witness that. Don't expect them to be able to, a defense attorney to be able to get that violent felony dropped. That's too big of an expectation. Um, you're probably guilty. You're probably going to set less time on that. Just you'll just have your expectations set to something realistic. Not every lawyer who's going to walk in the shop is just going to be, Saul Goodman, who's just going to be able to get you out of this with some trickery. Um, yeah. I wanted to discuss just briefly the Tennessee versus Gardner thing that came up in the chat. Tennessee versus Gardner, we have that in, even though it is not canonically in until March 27th. You want that in now because without Tennessee versus Gardner in, any felony, regardless if you have a weapon in your hand or not, police were able to shoot you, and that was perfectly legal. So that's any felony at all. And you don't have to have a gun in your hand, a weapon in your hand. You're running from a robbery, they can shoot you in the back, and that's totally legal. That's what it was before Tennessee versus Gardner. So we have Tennessee versus Gardner on our books, where, and I give, you can come talk to John about law anytime you want, because I'm happy to go over these things in character with people. Tennessee versus Garner basically just says if an officer believes that they will present a danger to the public or other officers, they then have the ability to use lethal force. It's pretty much that. And if you've been involved in a violent felony previous and you're walking away or running away with a weapon, or you've had a weapon and you're running away, you might get shot. So, it's kind of like, don't do the crime if you can't do the time, sort of thing. Um, anyway, that's just a brief history of Tennessee versus Garner. Other than that, yeah, I'm happy to train new lawyers, that sort of thing. There's going to be updates to the Constitution soon about. I think we're doing federal work or not or work protection stuff. It's very vague right now because I'm wrapping my head around it. I have to write up a bunch of things, and I've got to learn because labor laws are complicated. But there's going to be some labor law stuff that's going to get updated to the Constitution coming soon. It's not going to change the whole state of the city, but it will give a process for if there is a labor dispute, how to go through in city and document that, and how that keeps on going up higher and higher levels. So until eventually you get to a point where you go to, I think it's going to be the SBA, and essentially present your case, and then they make a final decision. But there will be something in there about that. So labor disputes will have a different sort of pathway forward. But there'll be more information about that in the Constitution. And when it comes up, you can always reach out to John or even reach out to me in DMs if you don't understand what's going on in the Constitution around that. I will endeavor to make it clear in some public posts. But anyway, that's it from the DOJ. I'm done.
Thank you. We are kind of running a little short on time, but it's okay. We're gonna have Mr. Deputy Mayor go next, and then we'll have hopefully about 25 minutes for community, and then we'll pick it up, I guess, at the next one. But here's your Deputy Mayor. Go ahead, Bryce.
Thank you. Hey, everyone. So I'm also going to wing this as well. Just a couple of things that are going on at the mayor's office in City Hall. As you guys may know, there's a lot of different things that we are working on, both for events for the city to try to generate some sort of, entertainment for people, try to bring the city to life. But at the same time, there's also a lot of things that are going on behind the scenes to try to help set the city systems up and set up legislation and stuff that the council is doing, that may not be seen. And I can say that, being a part of City Hall has been one of my favorite parts of the service so far. There's so many fantastic people working in City Hall, on the council, in DOJ as lawyers that are just amazing. And they dedicate so much time to, work on things, to write paperwork, to really kind of hash out issues that maybe we have too many meetings for or talk way too long about. But there's a lot of really amazing things happening that maybe not everyone gets to see. And I guess the thing that I want everyone to know is that while it may seem like at some points government may not be working, it is. Uh, Government, just like real life in the server, a lot of things take time, right? And the best thing that can be done at this point, I think, from a city hall standpoint, is that whether there's issues within an agency, no matter what agency it is, or from the general public. If the general public is having issues with an agency or with how things are city wise, not like server, but like with city services or things that the like a city or municipal normally has jurisdiction over, I would highly encourage everyone to feel free to engage the city hall, engage the mayor's office, engage your council men and women to voice issues, to voice concerns, to voice requests as far as municipality and city services go. You want to see an event that the city can hold happen or something specific that we're doing. Engage us. You see an issue where there's a legislation that or an ordinance that might be helpful for a certain area of the city. Engage the council, engage the mayor's office. I'm a strong proponent of agencies working together and leaning on each other a little bit more, even if there's things that the agencies don't think that each other can help with. I think if we leaned on each other a little bit more, we can start making better relationships between departments, and the same goes for the public. If I understand that there has been, this sort of storylines that have gone on in the last couple of weeks where a lot of folks are, their characters are very anti-government. They're very anti, they don't work with, they don't snitch on people. They don't work with, feds and stuff like that, and that's totally fine. Their characters are free to act that way, and that's totally okay. But I would encourage to give some leeway and and this kind of segues into how role play can uh, be increased for City Hall is engage the City Hall, you know, reception for city related questions. Where do I go? How do I get this service? How do I get this thing? Who do I go to? They can direct you and triage things. Engage our security staff, the LSSA. They spend a lot of hours at City Hall. If they're, trying to run security and they're asking you questions or they're talking to you or they're needing to pat you down or something, embrace that, engage that. Um, as well as if there's any issues that you feel like the mayor's office or the council can address, feel free to seek people out individually, send letters in, find us in character, in person. Come to the city council meetings, voice your opinions because the people's voice are important. And we're trying to run everything very democratically, right? That's what America is, the democracy. So when everybody involves themselves in the democratic process, it helps not only the government get better, but helps the government serve people better. Um, the only other thing that I will mention at this point is I'm never going to dissuade people from, doing criminal RP or making any sort of attacks against a government institution. Obviously, things happen. There are situations that can warrant it. But I do want to essentially stress that if you are a criminal, or if something happens where you are going to commit a crime at like a government facility or inside of a government facility, just keep in mind that the government facilities aren't like your normal private building. They have more security. They normally have cameras all around watching. They normally have more people hustling and bustling, you know, pushing pencils, doing paperwork, stuff like that. It's not um just weight it a lot more than just carefully consider the repercussions if your character gets caught from doing something like that at one of those facilities. I'm not going to dissuade it because I think it makes for good fun, but really, really kind of point make the attempts or the interactions like that pointed where it's got a story build up and it's for some sort of political reason or just cause or something like that. It could be really good for a story, but just always weight that very heavily. Other than that, um, yeah, just engage us. Don't be afraid. Ask questions and voice concerns. And if anybody ever needs to contact me, I'm always available if you need it, for the right reasons.
I think that I don't want to speak for you guys, but everybody said they were open to DMs. If you see up here, medical director, the sheriff, deputy mayor, the mayor, and our chief justice, they all head the departments that you mostly work with. So they head those city services departments. If you have any issue with how that department is running and you don't want to do it in city because that's not what your character would do, I think they all said that they are open to a DM. You can express your concern to them. You can say, hey, the cops are doing a lot of this because, again, like I said before, we can't correct something if we don't even know what's wrong. Like if you're saying, "Well, I don't want to go to staff. I don't want to report it to the cops." Then how are we going to change it? How are we going to know to change it? You just complaining about it is just going to create a negative environment, whereas you can communicate and say, "Hey, you know what? The cops have been doing this a lot and it could be changed and it could be it could be better for the entire community. You can make a positive change. It's going to help everybody. So everything that we say here, it doesn't just apply to a certain group. It applies to every player in the server. It applies to us as well. All the rules apply to everybody, and I think that everybody here has been really good about saying they're open to listen to you. And just like Robert said right now, just because you open a report does not mean that you're going to have a consequence. It doesn't mean anything until we go through the report. Every report is its own individual self. There are no pre-programmed responses. So I've always told you guys, ask. The worst we can say is we can't or no. But you're never going to get us mad because you asked a question or because you need clarification or because you're not sure of something. So I'm going to go ahead and open it up to the community. Our service department heads will stay here in case if you have questions for them too. And I'm gonna remind you, keep it positive, please. If you have a complaint, figure out a way to turn it into a suggestion, a positive suggestion. I don't want you generalizing things, and again, keep it very positive. So if you raise your hands, we're gonna go ahead and have you guys talk. And yes, don't give away any meta information. You guys know. Yeah, I don't need to tell you. So raise your hands if you have a question, comment, concern,
All right, who's the
anything.
first meta gamer? Come on.
No one.
Hello, Cedric. What's up, mate?
Can you hear us, Cedric?
It'll be on push to
Hello.
talk for some
There
reason.
we go.
There
No,
we go.
no, I forget I use OBS to clean up my audio and I turned it off like a knob. Sorry about that. So yeah. So I talked about it a little bit in the chat on the side, but I would love to see, and let me just clarify, is this for suggestions or just general questions?
General questions and suggestions on what's happening right now with RP. Future
hmm
features, MLOs, or future additions is for a later time.
Okay.
Yeah, just because we're trying to basically make sure that everybody who has a current um, suggestion for what's happening with the community right now. But like we said at the beginning, we will have a time where we're going to ask you guys for requests. Like, do you want to see a
Right,
different type
right.
of mechanic activity, or you know what I mean? Because we are open to that, but we just kind of want to get through this phase
Okay.
first. Yeah.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
In that essence then, personally, Cedric as a character doesn't carry a gun, and that limits his options when it comes to dealing with certain roleplay situations. Like, let's say he had to chase someone, right? Regular players can't tackle people, so it limits his options to try and beat on them for about 10 minutes straight, like I've seen some situations go down, not going to name anything. Or have to escalate to stabbing them in a situation where he's doing that against a cop, that would instantly become a shooting. It ruins the scene, or it doesn't ruin it, but it escalates it to where the scene more or less is done for. I would just like to see in the future more options for people to deal with things like this in a less lethal manner, whether that be through things like tackling or just anything in general. I kind of didn't fully listen before throwing up my hands, so I do apologize for that.
No, you're good. And I think that's the consensus right now that we're hearing from the community. Maybe more non-lethal options for cops and
Yes.
some options for citizens.
Oh,
I
I
think
just
that's what
think
we're
for all
hearing.
players,
Yeah, yeah.
less lethality makes it so that the scene can last longer, perhaps reach that point where it is escalated to higher violence, but
Hmm.
it feels a lot more natural instead of it being a case where the player is forced to escalate it
Right.
purely because of a lack
That's
of
the only thing they can do.
mechanical. Yeah, it's
Hmm.
they can't do anything, frankly.
Yeah. No, I think it makes sense. And I think
Hmm.
you're hitting what generally what everybody is saying about, having other venues. So that's something to look at, now.
I
Um,
did just see someone comment on abusing tackle spamming, so there can easily be something like a timer that stops you from doing that. I don't want it to be something where knobs are just constantly, tackling each other to the ground and nothing ends up happening either. I just want to see ways where people can maybe try and do what they're doing in the role play without needing to use a weapon, frankly. That's all really I have to say, other than thank you guys for doing such a great job.
Thank you too. Thank you for
All right, I shall
the
step
request.
down.
You have a beautiful accent. Holy
Thank you.
shit. All right. Who was next? I think it
Terry?
was Garcia.
First off,
What's up, G?
I didn't do it. Second off, um, this is kind of just to cover like what I'm saying in the chat on the side of this meeting. On an OOC level, if you guys are dealing with power gaming or things like that, that obviously OOC is not okay. I encourage you guys to open a ticket on us. Not just that, I encourage like staff or you guys to even permission to DM me or any one of us in command so we can fix it. Because right now, the amount of times that I find out things 2 to 3 weeks after the fact of a situation, it's so far behind of all the stories or all the scenes that we deal with that people forget. And I'd rather hear it from the horse's mouth as soon as possible so I can fix it, whether it's SOPs or retraining. I don't care. I don't mind. I'll get it done. Everyone knows this with me. So feel free to use that. It's an open door policy on a lot of things, both in character and out of character with the department.
Thank you.
Okay,
That's
just
pretty
one
much it.
quick thing in between. Um, this is not the place where we need to have accusations against someone else or they did this, they did that, and have to defend yourself for the things that happened. Um, the point is really clear. If you have a problem which goes way larger and, as mentioned in chat, actually goes for the server health, you know where to reach out to people. Um, Open up a ticket, get in contact with the high command or whatever you need. But there's no need for mud throwing around because it's not going to help people. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's just going to create animosity in the community that we want to prevent because, in all honesty, animosity in character, some people are still new to roleplay, other people are super experienced with it, but the newcomers, they are very easily able to take it to heart on an OOC level. And so we want to try and prevent that, try to teach them and try to help them understand a lot of things. There's a lot of people I've seen like helping out newcomers, and it's so freaking great. I encourage it with the PD so much. especially when we don't have that many calls going on.
Thank you, Cherry. That was helpful. I hope that people are really listening and taking it to heart to be able to reach out and stuff like that, you know?
Yep, I hope so too. I mean, I'm a little degenerate sometimes, so I'm usually awake very, very much a lot. Garrison gets mad at me for it.
Okay, thank you so much. Let's see. Was that all of it, Cherry?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thanks. Um,
Marcy?
I think Jane is next.
Yeah, Jane. Yeah.
Hey, thanks. My question's medical related, and it's can we get the ability to gurgle, scream, cry, yelp, beg, pray, whatever, while downed back, please?
So I've noticed that some people can speak when downed, and then other people can't. I don't know if it's kind of weird. But yeah, I mean, I don't have from a medical side, like it'd be great if people could talk while unconscious, and then it's their choice. And I know Sai and Jesse are aware of that being a thing.
I think it depends on how badly injured you are when you go down.
I mean, it's possible. Yeah, I mean, I'm down for it from the medical standpoint.
We can look into it. I think when we tested it, it was that if it gets to the point where you can respawn, you can't talk anymore, but before that you could. But if it depends on the injury, we'll have to take a look at it again, though.
Yeah, because I mean, I guess my reason for my request is since we don't inflict any particular injury type on people, then it adds RP to be able to communicate. If you're not going to go for a life-threatening injury or be unconscious or whatever, it kind of forces the unconscious step.
Yeah, so I do know. I'll let you guys know. Like we people do get injured in the city, and we can see what happened. It's just that we don't use that information because that's not the proper way to do it. So like the injury system in place is very specific in terms of, if you got shot in the chest, I can tell that. We don't use that though. But it could have something to do with the way that somebody goes down could be affecting the ability to talk. It's definitely a possibility.
Cool, appreciate it. That was the only question I had.
Thank you so much.
I
Mark,
think
you're up.
Praya's up.
Hello.
Is Mark
Hola,
there?
¿cómo
Don't speak
estás?
Spanish. Don't speak Spanish.
Yeah, no, I'm not. So, I have a question about one of the rules that you said was English, okay? And basically, what scared me was it was just only English, and I'm the type of person that would like to push a little bit of the boundaries and love to do my information of the research. And for example, I play as a Mateo Flores. He only speaks Spanish, and the reason why I like playing as him a lot because he basically pushes a little bit of boundaries, and it fits more the time period and stuff. And it also forces me to speak in Spanish and also get better at typing because I will admit I'm a slow typer, and like I said, it's just really hard and to do certain things, but it forces me to try to get better. Now, when you were saying that earlier, it just kind of phrased that I'm gonna have to, force not to like to talk in Spanish anymore and just purely possibly get rid of the character because he only speaks Spanish. And like I said, I only did it just to provide laughter in the community and to help out, like to make everything different because I will admit I've been in previous cities that it's just people just say a little bit of Spanish and then that's it. And but I wanted to make a difference in here to be like a different experience to everybody because like I said, I like to see different people's reactions, how they interact with me, and choose what they can and cannot do. And like I said, it's nice also for them to teach me in English certain words and stuff which I cannot say because most of them they taught me is inappropriate. But like I said, it's just that is the one question that I'm really concerned about. The
I
rules
Can
think
of
what
I
it,
English.
I,
speak on
Hello.
this as well?
Well, I
Mhm.
think as far as the English, I mean, we said it as this is an English server, like this is a primary language. I
Mhm.
don't think it's an issue. You understand English, you can speak English.
Yes,
So as
yes.
long as you're not creating it where you're expecting other players to have to speak to you in Spanish, like you're not forcing someone or expecting someone to know Spanish and interact with you in Spanish, that's fine. I mean, it's a character you're playing, and like someone just said, when you know that someone really can't understand you, you're able to kind of communicate with them in English because that's the character, right?
Yes. No,
I
no,
think what it, yeah,
mm,
and that's I think what it means in general. If you're I don't know, Russian and you want to speak all in Russian, and you expect to find nothing but Russian speaking people in here, that's not going to happen. It's
mhm.
an English speaking server. I don't think that what you're doing constitutes as, oh, you're breaking a rule because you do speak English, you do understand English, and you can
Mhm.
communicate, perfectly fine. Did you
Oh
want to
yeah.
say
On
something, Nate?
Oh.
yeah, when it comes to that as well, it's again, you're not conversing with other people and other groups in Spanish, where a lot of things that can go over a lot of people's heads. Like, for example, as Nate, I've got a few people that I can speak Greek to, right?
Mhm.
I say words here and there, have a little brief conversation, but I'm not going to sit there and, for example, in Nate's language, I'll say it in English. Okay, get ready to pull your gun. We're going to shoot them now. Like, or little things like that. It could be anything where you could just gain that upper hand from the other language. What you're doing is phenomenal because people can speak English to you, and then we just have to. It's a game of charades, essentially.
Mhm.
Sometimes, of going, what is he on about? We're trying to figure it out. What you're doing is fine, man. I've interacted with you on both of my characters. I've seen what you do. There's nothing wrong with what you do, as long as you're not
It's
all conversing in a particular language where it's excluding other people, this, that, the other, because it is a English speaking server,
mhm.
but you're still understanding English, this, that, the other.
Yeah, no,
Nothing
like
really
that's
wrong.
the whole paper, the papel or the translator, like I say.
Mm-hmm.
It's where it forces me to type, like, on the paper because like I said, I'm really slow at typing. Like I said, my English and Spanish, they conflict a lot with each other when I'm typing. So that forces me to hopefully get better at typing stuff in certain situations because like I said, English is not my first language, unfortunately. Like I said, it's basically my second language, and like I said, I conflicted a lot growing up, and like I said, I'm trying to speak English, and I'm also typing in to learn to understand. But like I said, I just wanted to ask that question because like I said, I just want to hear different like languages. Like you said that you speak Greek. I would love to learn like hear Greek and certain stuff because like I said, it's just gives them more opportunity and makes it more lively in the city. Be like, hey, they know this language, and you can learn from them by either writing it on paper and explaining them how it is, or just try to say it in broken English to them. So I don't
Yeah.
know. Like I said, I try to. It's just like I said. It's one of the major concerns that I have, and like I said, I want to make sure if I'm not breaking any of that rule, mainly particularly English.
Nah, you
So
good.
that's the only question that I have for that one. But like I said, thank you for all having me on here, just asking the question, and thank you for letting me know that I'm not breaking it. But like I said, I like to see you guys interact with me. Mateo, hasta luego.
Thanks, my man.
Thank
Mhm.
you. We have Priya up next.
What's up? How y'all doing?
Hey, yo.
Hey, Priya.
Hi, yeah, a couple little
Hey,
things. I don't know if I missed it, but Delightful or Archie, whatever. Did you talk about gang size limits at all? Is
Um,
that something that's coming
I
in?
That's what I'd like to bring up. I need to talk about with staff, and I'd like to again bring it up with the community in the future. I do want to talk about gang size limits, gang alliances, everything like all of that style. We need to rework it in the rules. Because I was mainly focusing on cop, just getting the LSSD department running at the beginning. I never really got into the criminal world. Since I made Archie a thing again, I've seen the criminal world. I've seen a lot of things that need to change. So this will be a subject that will be brought up again. I need to sit down with the moderators. I need to sit down with management, and then I need to sit down again with a lot of the community and see what the process will be.
Awesome. Okay, I won't push too much on that then. But I have thoughts if you ever want to talk in the future. As someone who's done a lot of RP crim stuff. The other thing I want to talk about, and I guess maybe this is more so a comment for the community, is and I think hopefully this is going to change a lot with the new heist coming in. I think right now, okay, I'm trying really hard not to meta here. There's certain stuff where having a hostage will allow you to do crime that makes you a lot of money in city. I think most people know what I'm talking about. I'll keep it vague though. I think there's a lot of, and I know this is subjective, and we're going to like server health, a lot of low quality role play that's happening with people taking people hostage. Like trying to be at Burger Shot has been really, really good RP, I think, for the city. A lot of new people come in, it creates sort of a community hub. But as soon as that started happening and people didn't want to go to anywhere else take hostages, they just come in and like take all our delivery drivers or just wait till someone goes in the parking lot. And it's that thing where it's like
Oh, the
guns on
boring
people.
hostage taking.
Yeah, it's boring hostage taking, guns on the person 1 second, get in the trunk, go to the place, do the crime, technical RP. The other issue that's happening, and I feel like there's a lot of the same people being taken hostage. It's a lot of people who are always the same place. It's like people treat it like I need a hostage to do a crime. I can't find anyone. I looked around for 30 minutes. Fuck it, I'm gonna take somebody. That is like really poor quality roleplay because I think if you're taking people who your character cares about, is friends with, even acquaintances, it doesn't make sense to take that person hostage unless there's like a deeper roleplay reason behind it. Um, it really depends, I guess, on your character, like who you're willing to take. And like some people, it makes total sense, right? Like they are up in that sort of criminal world and they are like seen a lot and are a lot more hardened and take hostages. I totally get it. But I think there's a lot of like people who maybe aren't at that stage of their criminal career that just are going and doing these things repeatedly. And I would really like people to think about the ramifications for that character that you're taking hostage. Your interaction is done with them once you finish the crime, but think about how that's going to affect their RP going forward. Like that might completely kill off your character ever having friendship or interaction with that person in the future because they'll never trust you, right? Like that's a really big thing to cut off an opportunity for role play. Um, and especially people who are doing Civ RP, like this is my first time I'm trying to make Priya into more of a Civ role player, and I've never done Civ RP before, so it's been really interesting. I have so much respect for people who do Civ RP that aren't the cops or crims. But when they're getting taken hostage all the time, it's really hard for them to like continue role play because they don't have the power of doing much, right, to get back at people. So that's just me throwing a word of caution, I guess, of just like really think about the consequences of violence. And that's not only just shooting someone or stabbing someone, but like the trauma of getting taken, kidnapped is like a very big thing that your character should be okay with for, reasons that fit your character, not just because it's an easy way to do crime mechanics, right? Yeah, I hope that makes sense.
It does. I think that's what I was trying to say earlier when I talked about, being a civilian, and I've always geared away from crim, role play or cop role play, and I really like the civilian aspect of it. But like you said, civilians have very limited ways of protecting themselves. Um, Civilians have, and we're here to do a specific job, right? Like you're at Burger Shot, you want to cook, you want to make the burgers, you want to feed the people. The mayor, all the people at the city are really literally working on documents, on licenses. They have things that they come into the city to do. And the reason they chose to do civilian RP is because they don't want to be doing gang RP or cop RP or
Yeah.
anything else. We're here to do what we wanted to do. So the problem is that when you guys are doing your cop and crim RP, you forget how it's going to affect the people that you're interacting with. Because just as she said, you guys walk away from that bank robbery or jewelry store, or whatever, you leave that person there, and what are they going to do then? Like they just don't go back to what they were doing. If they're really good role players, which most of you are, they're going to have to act out that situation. They're going to have to act out feeling the fear that you guys gave them, and that's something you guys have to think about. There's a continuing story besides your own, and if you think about it that way, or maybe be more conscious of what everybody's trying to do, it would help the community. And I think that's a very, very important issue and point to bring up. Thank you.
Yeah, I have one quick other thing that I think we all know that there was a very big issue with previous phishing that happened in the city that was sort of game breaking economy. Um, And the thing I'm wondering is, there was a rollback. Did all that money get flushed away that people made? Because there was so much money being funneled into the city. Like, again, economy breaking amounts. And I'm wondering if that's
We've
still
had a look.
floating in the city.
We've had a look at the at majority of the money logs. I'm gonna say this so bluntly, and this is gonna come off bad. I don't know where these rumors are coming from that people have so much money. Like the most amount of money that someone has is like just over 100 grand. Like no one, even in cash amounts, in marked money, cash and bank, no one has anywhere near $200,000. Even in assets as well. Like these are just honestly, these are just rumors. Like people were making a bit of money, but not that much. The economy's leveled itself out with a lot of these, put it bluntly, money sinks that are in the server with taxes, insurances, this, that, the other. It's all there. The economy's
Okay.
not gonna lie, it's pretty
Yeah,
leveled out again.
we've been hearing these rumors for quite a while, so we actually looked into how much money everybody had, and it's not even close to um, anybody being what I would even consider to be rich.
Okay, that's
We
good
can
to know.
see,
Because
we see cash in everything, like people's each individual car. We can see it. If you're hiding it in a box, we can see it. Like it's there's not that much.
I think the reason it all started is because people were making hundreds of thousands of dollars from the phishing exploit. That is facts. I saw it happen in character.
Yeah,
But I think the rollback then solved a lot of that. I was just curious if the rollback of that 24 hours did take that money out of the economy or not.
It did not take any money out of the economy. It just we didn't see a need for that.
Wait, it
And
did though, because when the server logs went back 24 hours, there was a ton of people who had fished in that 24 hours, so they lost all that money.
Yeah,
well,
a lot.
yeah,
Some people did.
Yeah,
Yeah, with that
yeah.
little one, the ones that were either had just gotten the money or had the fish on them. Yeah, it
Yeah,
did pull it back,
exactly.
which is good. But like they said, honestly, nobody in the server has not even 500,000. They're not even halfway there. So I mean, if we saw a really big disparity, like there's just these people with millions of dollars and there's some with like nothing, it would be a concern. But I think sometimes rumors they just kind of grow,
Yeah, I
or people make
gotcha.
assumptions and they share it, and but I think if we saw that it was a big issue, we would move to kind of evening that out.
Okay, awesome.
and
Thank you all.
But I'm glad you brought it up, that way we can dispel that rumor.
Yeah, I just think it was important because there's a lot of talk about the economy and stuff, right?
Yes, thank you
I
so
know.
much.
and if I could just add something to throw back on the being able to talk while you're dead, it has been enabled since the beginning, but I just noticed that the key for it was disabled, so that is back to being enabled for being able with the N key for being able to talk while you're dead. It was already enabled for being on a stretcher or being able to be revived, but it was actually turned off for being dead. So that's back on now as of right now.
Thank
That's all I
you.
got.
That's awesome. Let me see. I think I have another one. We're almost out of time. We're gonna take this last question, and I'm gonna have some ending thoughts, and that's about it. Hold on a second.
Alfie!
Hello. Yeah, just a quick one. I'd say, I'm just wondering if there's ever, like, Dead Online, if there's ever going to be like a third character slot that is available for people to make.
Yeah, after we finish the test period, I think we will be increasing that. This is
Okay.
just because we're doing a testing phase, and a lot of people are like, I deleted my character, like all these issues because of all the characters. We don't want to overload the developers with all the issues, so that's what we
Yeah, of
limited you
course.
guys. But yeah, once we're done with the test period, there should be more slots.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much. Hope you have a good rest of your evenings.
Thank
And
you.
just a quick
All good,
warning,
mate.
anybody that has burger shop boxes or boxes that are completely filled and boxes within boxes and boxes in storage, um, after this update, those weight amounts will be much drastically they'll be drastically lowered, and same with the duffel bags and backpacks. So if you have stuff in them,
It's already lowered.
some of that stuff might be gone. What?
It's already lowered. A few other people are saying.
It was lowered for the boxes already, but this one's going to apply to the bags and anything else that had really high weights. They're going to go down. So that's
Yeah.
what we're saying. Like if you do have that and you're putting backpacks in backpacks, they're going to malfunction or you might lose them. So my suggestion would be when you go back in there, make sure you don't have a backpack within a backpack. And if you don't want to lose things, kind of do that. And again, this is a test server, so when there are bugs and things happen because of glitches, we most likely we're not going to reimburse you because we announce it, we let you know ahead of time, and that's just what it is. So yeah. Um, Final thoughts on this. I think the general consensus is read the room with your role play. Kind of be good to each other. Communicate because if you don't tell us something's wrong and we don't know, there's no point to go somewhere and complain. I saw some statements here that are rumors that you should maybe clarify before you talk about somebody. Why don't you go directly to the person and ask them? Because that would probably get you the answer instead of you kind of saying statements that you don't even know is true or if they are true or if it even happened. The best way to dispel a rumor or get your information is to go directly to the person. And I think that's something that you guys are forgetting. If you have an issue with somebody, go to them. It's not a lobby issue. It's not a ticket issue. Um, and I think that that's pretty much it. I'm really excited for the update to happen. So the sooner we can get on that, the better. I'm excited for my restaurants to have all their ingredients. That's like my most exciting thing that I'm looking forward to. I know you guys are looking forward to cars. Oh, and I did get 3 applications for car dealers or car sellers. If there's anybody interested in working at PDM, please put in your applications because we need to get that staff before the dealership opens. And I am looking at those 3 that already came in. Any final thoughts, guys, staff? Anybody?
Only one. And this is more like a notification thingy that I'm going to put in. If we, as a staff, and especially as developers, are in the city, you can recognize us by the black suits. I think everybody knows and seen us around for a while. Um, Keep in mind that we're working on things and we're dealing with stuff. So, although you're very nice and want to say hi, we sometimes bluntly ignore you. That's not because we don't want to talk to you, but we're busy with at least 6 or 7 different pages and things open. So, please excuse us a little bit for that one. We don't want to be rude, it's just a lot of work.
Yeah, you'll notice that sometimes when I'm RPing with you guys, I'm really rushed just because I only get a little bit of time to be in the server to do actual RP things because the rest of my time is the developer. I think it's the same with most of our staff when they're RPing. They go in there to really enjoy. I mean, Nate has his characters, and I see him enjoying the RP. He doesn't want to be asked questions about staffing things because that's breaking his, whatever he is doing. So when I go in there too, I go in there specifically to move things along, because it needed to be moved along. And I think the only time I do actually want to just have fun is when I'm working on with the other character that I have, and that's when I kind of just want to have fun and not be in staff mode. So just keep that in mind. I mean, bottom line is we are all everybody who's up here right now. We're all people just like you. We all want to play just like you guys do. We don't have a thicker skin than any of you, and we have all put in a lot of work behind the scenes, behind what you see, to make sure that this server is running the way it should. So a big thank you to all you guys up here because without you, I mean, really, this wouldn't have moved forward as it has. If nobody has anything else, that is the conclusion of our meeting. Plugging it again, movie night at the drive-in. Have fun, guys, and thank you for joining us. Bye bye.
Bye.
Have a good one, all.
I'm going in RP. See you later. Bye, degenerates. If you have any issues, right, raise a ticket, open a ticket. They're all leaving anyway. Love you all. Bye.